Mary Sibley on the show Salem, and she's a sort of a complicated, emotional, normal girl who 7 years ago she was in a predicament where she was pregnant in a puritanical society, and in order to save her own life within society, she gave up her soul to the devil to give up the child. And those 7 years pass, and she becomes more and more detached from who she was before, and more into the art of witchcraft. She's also still in love with her first love, John Alden, and his return in the first season made her sort of want to get out of, I think, what she'd started. The second season starts off with her believing that John is dead, and the return of the son that she sacrificed. So she suddenly has this 7-year-old son, and that becomes very complicated. It's definitely not like a sort of a cheesy witch show. That's not at all what we're going for. And I think in the writing and the way it's sort of depicted, it is very violent. And a lot of the violence actually is through the women. And that's quite exciting. We're not often do we get to play those sorts of parts. I think the show is so different from any other witch show because there's the characters are really complicated. Like these women, you don't know how to feel about them, and that's my favorite thing that I hear from any fan is that they don't know whether they sympathize with Mary or they like her or they hate her, and then you feel like you're creating a really great three-dimensional character. I think it was the sheer sort of like psychology of the way people acted, and it still rings true today that there can be a mass hysteria from something that no one has seen or knows about. You know, it happens with religion. Like there's hysteria over God, even though we've never seen him. And I feel like witchcraft sort of plays into that. And it was something where nobody can really go back and say exactly what was going on in that time, because it was in America. Like people had moved over there, they didn't know what they were going to encounter, and there's not enough in the history of it for us to look at that we can kind of create it ourselves. We can't understand why people were pointing the finger and saying which, what brought that on, whether there was something bizarre that happened that made people think witches were true, whether people actually thought they were witches because of the way Puritans would have said, you know, if you were a woman who enjoyed having sex, or if you had a certain mark on your leg, then you were a witch. Maybe people really actually believed they were witches. I do, in the sense that it's creating jobs and role models for women, and more so than I feel like, especially this season, it's not just Mary Sibley. There's the Anne Hale storyline, there's Mercy, there's Lucy Lawless who's joined the show. That you have all these great female characters all come together. So yeah, I do think that for other women watching the show, there's some empowerment for that, whether you're an actress or you work in an office, just to see more women on TV interacting with each other rather than just playing the girlfriend.